During its historic mission in the early 2150s, the Earth starship Enterprise NX-01 encountered many prominent alien species, some of which were friendly to humanity and some of which were not. The latter group included the Klingons, the rulers of the powerful Empire in the Alpha and Beta Quadrants, who Enterprise often got in trouble with. When it did, it often came face to face with the warships of the Klingon Empire. One of these was often the birds of prey, but also included other attack vessels, including the mighty D-5 Battlecruiser. This fearsome ship was one of the main capital ships of the Klingon Empire in the mid-22nd century, and in this video, we'll be telling its story. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host, Captain Jack. Before we do warp into this video, if you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. Now we're enjoying making these Star Trek videos on various topics, and we hope you're enjoying watching them. If you want to support their development, please join our Patreon via the link below. You'll get exclusive access to our videos and events, as well as more Galaxy class rewards. As always, please do let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, because if you're talking about Star Trek, then we want to hear about it. But also, comment what you would name this Klingon D-5 Battlecruiser if you were to command one. It better be fearsome and honor-bound, I guess, because that's all the Klingons are about. Okay, engage. Introduced in the 2120s, the D-5 class battlecruiser was built as a mainline capital ship for the Klingon fleet. It served in this role for decades, and by the 2150s, it was the Klingons' primary battlecruiser class. While they were likely not built for such purposes, D-5s were also very adaptable ships, and some ships of the class were converted into freighters or fuel tankers. Like most other Klingon starships, the D-5 had a bird-like shape, claw-like warp nacelles mounted to downswept wings at the aft end and a bullet-shaped command section connected to the main hull by a thin neck. The actual size of the D-5 is disputed. Some expanded media sources give it a length of 155 meters, while others give it a length of 210.62 meters, a wingspan of 157.57 meters, a height of 44.12 meters, and a mass of 273,000 metric tons. Like with a contemporary Klingon bird of prey, the D-5 cruiser's reactor complex and warp engine sections were located towards the top of the dorsal hull, and the ship featured a distinctive set of heat exchangers for the reactor at the forward end of the aft hull, which glowed bright red. Unlike the bird of prey, however, the D-5's warp system included conventional warp nacelles rather than warp wings. These nacelles were mounted at the end of the wings, and they had a clawed shape, similar to the 22nd century Romulan warp nacelles. The D-5's warp drive could reach up to warp 6, making the cruiser faster than the fastest human vessels of the time. The D-5 also featured a set of 3 aft impulse engines, which were fairly powerful for a ship of a D-5's size, giving the cruiser impressive sublight speeds and exceptional maneuverability, in keeping with the typically fast-paced nature of Klingon battle tactics. Combat model D-5s were very tough ships. Their hulls consisted of diffusion-bonded monocrystal, and they were plated with dispersive armour, which allowed them to shrug off a great deal of enemy fire even when their own shields were offline. The D-5 cruiser had powerful shields on top of that, making it quite formidable in battle. While the D-5, like other Klingon ships of the era, didn't have a cloaking device, it did have a highly sophisticated sensor system. Like with most Klingon ships, the interior decks of the D-5 cruiser were concentrated in the aft section, which featured the ship's cargo bays, crew quarters, main engineering, and other key stations. The bridge, command suites, and quarters of the ship's captain were instead located in the ship's forward section, which was connected to the aft section by a broad corridor that ran through the ship's neck. The forward section also featured a pair of docking collars to either side, used to offload supplies from Klingon freighters. Some sources differ on the ship's standard crew complement. Some give numbers as low as 48, while others give numbers as high as 350. Like most Klingon ships, the interior decks of the D-5 were grimy, unfinished, and largely lacking for comfort. Pipes and mechanical elements were exposed along the walls, giving the vessel an industrial feel, and an oily fog filled the air in many sections. The walls tended to be grimy, and the ship as a whole was usually dimly lit, in keeping with Klingon preferences. These aesthetics were shared by many other Klingon starships even into the 24th century. The D-5 class battlecruiser was armed with at least 6 heavy disruptors and 2 torpedo launchers, a respectable arsenal for a warship of its time. 2 heavy disruptors were mounted on the tips of the nacelles, while 2 others were located on the forward section, one dorsal and one ventral. The 2 most powerful disruptors were mounted in a large turret with a 360-degree firing arc on the cruiser's belly. The ship's main torpedo launcher was mounted in the bow, on the underside of the ship's head, while the others were mounted aft just above the impulse engines. These launchers usually fired photon torpedoes. While the D-5 class battlecruiser was designed as a capital ship, some ships of the class were converted into freighters and tankers, and these ships were considerably less formidable than the warship variants. D-5 cruisers only required a crew of 12, and they had weaker shields, weaker armour, and less weaponry. Most notably, the belly turret was removed in favour of a mount for up to a dozen cargo pods, which could be used to haul a variety of valuable resources, such as dilithium. The D-5 class battlecruiser served the Klingon Imperial fleet as its main capital ship, fighting alongside squadrons of smaller warships in the Klingon Empire's 22nd century wars. It was the largest ship in the Klingon fleet at the time, and is popularly used as a flagship by high-ranking Klingon officers, including Admiral Krell. D-5 cruisers made up the cores of most 22nd century Klingon fleets, supported by birds of prey, and they also usually fared well on their own due to their speed and firepower. As previously mentioned, some D-5 cruisers served the Klingon Empire in less glamorous ways, mainly as freighters and tankers. Such ships were still combat capable, but they were far outclassed by dedicated combat starships. Still, this variant was tough enough that one such ship, commanded by a Klingon named Kork, was able to use it to harass outlying colonies into surrendering valuable resources. During the early 2150s, several D-5 cruisers had encounters with the Earth starship Enterprise. One of these, the IKS Bortas, was sent after refugees from Klingon space that had been rescued by Enterprise in 2152, sparking a small skirmish. Bortas thoroughly outgunned Enterprise, but Enterprise was able to disable it by lowering Bortas into a gas giant's rings and igniting a plasma pocket. Later, in 2154, Enterprise survived 2 more standoffs with D-5 cruisers, but it wasn't able to outright defeat either of them. Enterprise disabled the first cruiser, commanded by Captain Marg, by using its grapplers to tear off one of the cruiser's warp nacelles, allowing Enterprise to escape the encounter. In the second encounter, the Enterprise and its sister ship, Columbia, engaged in a brief battle with Admiral Krell's D-5 cruiser and its escort fleet. The two ships held their own just long enough to buy Dr. Flock's time to resolve the situation peacefully. Otherwise, they might not have survived the encounter. What would become the D-5 class battlecruiser was originally designed as a fuel tanker for Marauders, a second season episode of Star Trek Enterprise. Production designer, John East, came up with the design, and from the outset he intended for the ship to be combat ready, believing that all Klingon starships would be armed and ready to fight. As a result, he ultimately created a warship with fuel tanks strapped to the bottom, an aggressive yet functional design that fit the Klingon ethos. Eves described the design as being halfway between the Klingon bird of prey and another Klingon vessel he had designed for Enterprise, the Klingon Raptor. The ship borrowed a lot of design elements from Eve's other 22nd century Klingon ships, including exposed cabling along the wings, a large frontal heat exchanger on the aft section, and an overall industrial experimental look. As the ship was originally meant to be a freighter, it was designed with a long neck to increase the length of the ventral cargo rack below it. Eve's design was built into a CGI model by artists at Eden FX, and it made its debut in Marauders. Ultimately, this Klingon cargo ship would never be seen again, but the design would later be reused as the D-5 class Klingon battlecruiser, with the cargo rack removed and replaced with a ventral turret. This variant came to be during the production of a second season episode, Judgment, the script of which originally called for a D-7 class Klingon battlecruiser, a class of Klingon vessel from the original series. But producer Rick Berman believed the Klingon battlecruiser in the episode should be an older model, and reference to it in the script were changed to be the D-5 class, and a new ship design was needed. John Eves had previously designed the D-4 class Klingon battlecruiser, essentially an earlier model of the D-7, but this design had been rejected, and instead his Klingon freighter was converted into a warship. After making its debut in Judgment, the battlecruiser variant of the D-5 went on to appear in 2 Season 4 episodes, The Augment and Divergence. So that's a look at the Klingon D-5 battlecruiser. As mentioned, you can support the development of Trek Central's videos. Please join our Patreon via the link below. You'll get exclusive access to videos and events, as well as more Galaxy class rewards. Like always, if you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends. Goodbye.